Harken are really known for is the Ninja. But the other, which I'm really excited to see because I've never seen one, is the Clutch. And you've brought one of those in for us today. So I know reading about it and the instructors here talking about the Clutch, that it was a bit of a game changer when it came out in the industry. Why was that?
The Clutch is a progress capture device. So that means we have a pulley sheave, effectively, that is allowing us to get this efficiency with the rope in a hauling system or a raise and lower. This is a 316 stainless steel sheave with a faceted internal feature. It's designed for a 10.5 to 11 mil rope, so it's quite a narrow rope range, but that works for most technical rescue rope access. The sheave is on a camming arm, which is controlled naturally by the lever. The idea behind the Clutch was to have a design that was very similar to most descenders on the market, so it was intuitive. So we have the same kind of system. We have a handle operating at the rear. This handle is ergonomically designed with tactile points, so you can feel when it's clicking through the different features. We've got positions marked up on the back with an identifier down here so that you always know what position it's in. Okay. So it's clear to the user. The first position we got here is stop. So if you had this in a hauling system or maybe in a system with tension lines and you wanted to effectively park and lock the device, then you'd put it in stop mode. That just applies extra pinch between the sheave and the friction plate inside the body. And when we're in a hauling system, we will move it to the standby mode. That standby mode does have a bit of flexibility, but that releases a little bit of pressure. It always has the rope kind of being captive. So when you're pulling through...
So you get a sense of feel on that?
Yeah, much, much lighter, so easier to pull through, but it's always pinching and binding. So as soon as you stop pulling, the load is held. Then we flip over into our lowering range. So the lowering range is actually pretty big. Which is great for sensitivity. You've got a lot of control when you're lowering. And then we do go through into an anti-panic, which if you go too quickly, it'll lock off. Or if you're on an extremely light load, it might be that you're kind of just trying to find the friction or fight the friction. But to reset, you just put the handle up to the top and you're back into lowering. We've got a mechanical advantage system in the handle that helps. So if you go into a two-person rescue, or a high load situation, when you come out of this and you're into a lowering phase, there's a mechanical advantage aid that reduces the load on the handle. So it means you're not fighting the lever. Mm-hmm. You've still got a range of travel for controlling a descent. Okay. And that is one of the key features under a two-person load. You've still got adjustability rather than the operating range really can narrow on some devices. So from a control point of view, lots of versatility. Another key feature of the design is that it is a one-use device. There are no extra friction points. You use it the same way for a single-person load or a two-person load. That simplifies kind of the thinking for an operator. It means you don't have to kind of do something additional. So keeping it user-friendly, making sure that there's minimal complexity to it in the field is a big deal. And it's a feature we focus on. Moving around to the body of it, we've got a permanent anchor point, which is large enough for most carabiner gates to roll through, so you've got adjustability. It means you never have to disconnect this from your rigging plate, your harness, whatever your connection is, whatever your deployment. We have a 22 kilonewton rated Beckett on the side of the device. So if we're building this into a hauling system, that would be the point, acting as our little rigging plate, that we start to build the pulley system. The nice thing is the pulley system kind of grows out from the device, so it doesn't get congested, it doesn't get jammed up, and you've got a lot of control. And then the other detail, which is always a little confusing with our little 2X, is it's a double phase opening mechanism.
Okay. So you can't make a mistake, and you've got to be intent on opening it before.
Yeah, so all these devices have like a double mechanism minimum from a safety point of view. You should never be able to just release and open any of these devices, including carabiners. in one movement. So that double latch, nice, audible, and you've got to release the button each time to open it. But what we've got throughout this device is very tactile, very audible indicators with the opening mechanism.
Yeah, I like here, if I'm getting tight on this, Alan, on the camera, but it's actually made for a thumb to fit into that position, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But everything is about feedback on this. You've got the feedback and the feel when you're in descent. You've got the feedback and the feel when you're actually hauling. In a hauling situation, the ratcheting mechanism inside the sheave is an indicator that things are happening, the system's moving. There are lots of rescue teams that use that sound as a speed control. It even falls within some of their instructions.
I give you that added sense of it's working.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can hear it's working.
It's like an eyes off.
Yeah.
But you can hear everything.
I'm focusing on the job at hand, and that's giving me that reassurance.
Yeah.
That everything's working. That makes perfect sense. It seems a wonderful piece of kit. I hear great things about it. But the other thing I hear about is its price point.
Yeah. It's not a cheap product.
Where does it sit, kind of ballpark?
It's around about the £600 mark in the UK as a retail price. It is a multifunctional device. It's not for every person, but for anyone who's doing technical work, hauling systems, it becomes a really versatile piece of kit that you can wear, you can rig into a system. Reliable, very reliable. They've been out since 2019. We haven't seen much wear or replacement of these devices. They're lasting extremely well. Largely that's because it's entirely made of metal. We've got no plastic components in this. The wear indicators, all these elements are kind of there, showing kind of the longevity of the unit. So it is kind of an expensive item, but as we see it, it is the combination of buying a progress capture device, specific, and a descender, all in one unit.
So it's a twofer, really, isn't it? It's 2 for 1. So, I mean, you get that quite often, don't we, where a practitioner, an engineer or whatever, they love the piece of kit, but the money people turn around and say, whoa, but actually when you start to think about the cost benefit of its longevity because of the build quality, because it's 2 devices in one, it actually makes it quite doable.
Yeah, budget's always going to be a point of contention for everyone, but definitely we've seen it become a firm favourite in the industry.